We have breaking news right now. The Portland City Council has just approved an ordinance that would prevent drivers from turning right on red lights at certain intersections.
This is a pilot program. It could be expanded in the future. It would apply at 30 Portland intersections. Oregon law does allow drivers to turn right on red lights unless there is signage that prohibits it. With today's vote, the City Transportation Bureau will evaluate Portland's intersections and decide which ones would be part of the pilot program. PBOT would prioritize intersections with a lot of pedestrian traffic, areas with a lot of crashes, as well as locations near schools and public facilities. The ordinance would cost the city about $4,000 per intersection, and a rollout of 30 intersections would cost about $120,000 for signage, materials, and labor. It's not clear yet where the money will come from, but the ordinance suggests sources like gas tax revenue, Vision Zero resources, or existing traffic safety funds.